Welcome to Humans of FinTech, the show that tells the story of diverse leaders who found belonging in our industry, so you can too. I'm Nicole Casperson. Today, I'm hanging out with Anabel Perez. She's the CEO and co-founder of Novo Payment, a leading banking-as-a-service and embedded finance fintech company. Anabel has over 25 years of experience in banking and payments, holding roles like Senior Vice President of leading Venezuelan financial institutions. I'm so excited for you to hear my conversation with Anabel. She gets very real about her transition from traditional banking to the financial technology space and the hurdles of doing that from Venezuela to Miami. We also talk about why we need more collaboration among fintech leaders, and Anabel's very passionate about that. She even shares her spicy takes on entrepreneurship and her secret sauce to success as a top Latina fintech founder. I think you will find her insights incredibly valuable, and I'm so excited for you all to hear my conversation with Anabel Perez. Enjoy. Anabel, I'm so excited to have you here on the show. I know folks' backgrounds carry such a huge influence on careers and values and purpose and why you chose to be a part of the fintech industry. So you started out as a banker. Tell us about that, because I know you also always felt a bit like an entrepreneur in that role. So you're like kind of feeling a little bit on the outside, though, in banking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. And thank you for inviting Nicole. Very happy to be with you. I am a former banker. I started my career in a financial institution, in a mid-sized financial institution, and I had the fortune to not only work but also be trained as a banker. I started doing operational work at branches. So I learned how to open a bank account and the requisites to open a bank account, to move money, to manage the vault in a branch. So I learned a lot about the process of engaging with clients and all the cumbersome the activities that takes to be able to open a new bank relationship. And I was able to grow my career in banking up to become a senior vice president of the retail banking unit, and be in charge of a large group of individuals. But we always fight between innovation and regulatory requirements. In innovation versus budget. It always was an issue. So I remember that we wanted to digitize many processes, and we needed to compete with the agenda of the technology team. So it was always an internal fight, and I was considered like an entrepreneur or someone that it was always annoying others to change the things. and one day become natural to be able to separate my agenda from the bank that I used to work for, and create an independent unit to be able to execute the mission of creating new use cases and a new value proposition. And that's how the idea of Novo Payment started.
Yeah, and this all happened in Venezuela, right?
Yes, that all happened in Venezuela, in a moment in which we thought that everything could be possible, but then the weather changed and the political situation changed, and we needed to look for new frontiers. So that was the time when, with my co-founders, we decided to establish Novo Payment here in the U.S. and recreate the organization in order to serve a large market. And through that, I was able to build a company that serves today 14 markets, including the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think it's awesome that you were in another country. You kind of wanted to be innovative in a banking, maybe more traditional banking role, but then it was kind of like, Mez, she's talking a lot or she's doing a lot. Like, can we? And so you were like, you know what? whatever, I will go and do it myself, I guess, right? And I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs feel. I think that's what a lot of people that are leaders in the fintech space like yourself feel when they're in these traditional roles, and no one really wants to like listen to them be a disruptor, so they got to go do it themselves. And that's awesome, and that's kind of what this fintech space is about. So when you moved from Venezuela to the States, was that a direct, I guess, effect of you wanting to be more of an innovator that you weren't able to do in your banking role?
Yes, of course. The idea was to change the way that financial services and payment products were built and delivered. And one of the things that I did was to initiate a regional roadshow. I became like some kind of a preacher, you know.
Yeah, we
Speak.
are. We're preachers here in the fintech space, pretty much, right? We got to hit the ground running and go to these shows.
That's correct. So I started my journey, knocking doors, turning down doors, visiting incumbents, explaining our vision, and try to invite them to join us in the movement of changing the way that consumers and merchants and enterprise consume financial services. Some of them were early adopter of our vision. Others were more resistant to that. They joined later, but we were able to support some of the great companies that today exist in Latam, that became as appeared in the scenes as a disruptors. So we learned from both sides. We help them to communicate because in they need to work in collaboration. Has not been an easy task, but also to invite a talented group of individuals to join the company during that process. Um, that thought that they could serve in the mission of building the infrastructure to connect the Americas. So it's been a quiet journey. Has not been easy. A very solitary work at the beginning, but then you find the right company, and that it's a great spiritual support and the fuel to continue your journey. Yeah.
I mean, and what a experience. I Not a lot of people, know what it's like to go through what you specifically went through, right? Working in financial services in LATAM, and then, kind of crossing over here, coming to Miami, right? One, language barrier.
Yes. Yes.
There's
That's
one.
mhm.
And cultural barriers. All of these different things. And, right now the Latin American market is, it's kind of popping with fintech, but at the time that was not, the case when you were starting Nova Payment, when you were, kind of coming to the US and making your mark. What was maybe one of the bigger challenges for that crossover when you kind of decided to come to the States and start Nova Payment?
It was to look for ways to incorporate myself and the company into the Miami community, to knock doors again, to introduce the company to different local stakeholders. And one day I found an organization that helped me a lot. It's called Endeavor. Endeavor Global has a chapter here in Miami, Endeavor Miami, and that helped me a lot to integrate with the community, and at all level. So I started to feel that I belong more to Miami. They gave
Mhm.
me a platform not only to gain access to mentor, but also to reinforce that I was not alone in this journey of transforming financial services. So I was able to connect with others, fintech entrepreneurs across the world, and that was very rewarded to me. And the support that I received from my mentors was the great fuel at that time to continue my journey, and had been amazing since then. I mean, that was in 2014. Nobody was talking about infrastructure. Miami, a fintech in Miami, everything needs to come from, and Silicon Valley, New York, Boston, Atlanta, but no Miami. women-led fintech, Latina. That's not common. You are outside of the box. So it was my mission to continue to work and effortless continue to fulfill my dream.
One of the other things I'm curious about with your background is kind of that cultural upbringing. Anything from just like growing up in Venezuela and being from there, and then coming to the States. Like, is there anything from like your, I guess, younger years or upbringing that really makes you think like, I like this is so important. I have to, do this. I have to, like, I've seen the disparities, right? Because I feel that my mom is an immigrant from the Philippines, and anytime I go back there to the home country, and I see the differences, right? We're so crazy lucky here in the States, and I don't know if you always people realize that until you travel and you go somewhere else. And so yeah, I'm just curious if that, because I know it's had an impact on me.
Yes. As you said before, it was cultural barriers, language barriers, but also invisible barriers that you need to decode and discover. And as you said, there's so many things that you can find here, but it's on a structure. And then in Latam, you need to build it because it doesn't exist, and you cannot import it. You can have it as a reference, but there's no providers that can help you to get. Or to facilitate the execution of your plan, for example. So we need to build bridges. We need Latin America, it's basically a lot of underdeveloped markets. What I mean underdevelopment is there's a lot of things that needs to be built. But there's also a great atmosphere for innovation. And a lot of people come to the United States to get education. They come back to the country of origins in order to contribute and execute on their respective vision or professional activities. And I think Latin America, like Southeast Asia, another part of the world, are great environments for innovation, but also require and entrepreneurs and the right support to be able to make the necessary changes and bring a better quality of life to our countrymen.
Yeah, absolutely. I No, I love this. When you feel like kind of like this outlier, and to find a space like, I guess, fintech, right, which no one necessarily like grows up as a kid. Maybe now, but not really any of us, right? Grow up thinking, I want to be in fintech. You instead, especially when you come from a place outside of the States. I know for me, like, my options were like doctor, lawyer. Those were the preferred career paths laid out for me. So to find kind of that sense of belonging in fintech is major. Take us back to the moment you felt like fintech would be this place where you would find that sense of belonging.
But I do believe that I always wanted to be in fintech, but I didn't knew that will be recognized as fintech.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So the first time I heard about the word fintech was late 2013. And we were already in fintech. Okay. But it was not recognized in that category. Okay. You would see in the past more financial technology or payment industry. I'm in the payment industry, or I'm in the financial technology, or I am in banking, or in wealth management, or I don't know, in the mortgage business, but was not defined as the intersection between financial the financial business and or the banking sector and technology, the intersection. So that's a great definition, and everything today is ed tech, health tech, fintech, insurtech, prop tech. So because at the end, everyone is trying to incorporate emerging technologies into pre-existing processes, and that's where the reinventions happen. And but you need to understand how things work today and how should be how can evolve using the right technology.
Right. And what Nova Payment does is, and I was thinking this when you said it earlier about kind of building bridges, right? I like to think of it as, building longer bridges or longer tables for connectivity, and instead of creating higher walls. And I think that's what's so cool also about, what you're doing and the space, and kind of being these disruptors and innovators, or once outsiders who found our sense of belonging in the space.
There's too many opportunities because there's the reunion of cloud, mobile, API technology. Now we are entering to Web3. And so it's so more easy today to build a bank. I mean, I can tell you that we build banks in less than a year, an entire new bank, at the fraction of the cost of a traditional bank,
Crazy, right?
and being able not only to serve the U.S. market but also to serve global markets, and that's because we have been able to identify the critical processes and to provide the necessary APIs and tools, and to orchestrate services from partners to be able to fulfill the necessary critical mission process that will support a use case. For example, a digital bank account opening. Just to mention a simple example. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's all about. I mean, that's what is recognized that as a data transformation. That is just adding or incorporating emerging technologies into pre-existing processes. So you are retrofitting those processes and making them more seamless, without friction, and helping the consumer to really engage with you more easy. And if you create the right recipe, you can have access to new markets, offer better products, and make more affordable those products to your end markets or end segments. And that's what it's all about, of disruption.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are expanding the pie. You are creating a bigger pie.
Yeah, I mean, and that's such an interesting point, right? Because it almost makes it feel like the word disruption could almost be like replaced with inclusivity in a sense, or like expansion. Because, right, that's what the traditional banking structure was. It was meant to be very exclusive. It was almost like, that's it. That's a secret club or something, right? Like only a select few are able to access these type of things. And now, when we're building these longer bridges, instead, like what Nova Payment does, it's instead saying, you know what, this can be expansive. This can reach more people. We can help people, in from Miami to Venezuela, right? Like we can help all of the people. And so yeah, it's like it's I don't know. That's like a revelation I'm currently having right now. We're not just we're disruptors for inclusivity, and that is
It's I mean, it's a good revelation, because yeah, because it's financial inclusion, it's technology inclusion, and it's making one product and services affordable, available, to everyone. Okay. And that's what it's all about. I mean, it's expansion. It's creating a bigger pie. So we always, when we are trying to define a product, and who to serve and how to serve and how to compete. Okay, we're always trying to define the addressable market. Okay. And in the past, financial services was restricted because of a lack of technology, compliance, a lot of artificial barriers, I would say, based on product segmentations. So I'm going to serve just the population of Indiana, or South Miami, or just Brazil. But today, everyone is moving around the globe. I mean, people are doing more um, commerce around the world. So it's all about data movement and money movement, and data movement and money movement that doesn't have barriers, because I can be here in the United States and downloading a fashion app, for example,
Hmm.
and buying a pair of shoes in Italy, and will arrive to my home in 24 or 48 hours. And I can turn that back if it doesn't fit to my shoes, those shoes to my feet. Okay, the same type of transaction that if you were buying from, I don't know, a local retail store, or you want to, for example, pay overseas to employees now that everyone is remote. So
Hmm.
you can find companies in the payroll space that now are offering also financial services, and that's what is called today embedded finance. Um, and you will see more of that every day. So our role and in anyone in fintech, it's to expand the access, is to make transactions more seamless and more affordable, and that's how we are really disrupting. I don't know if you remember at the early stage of the fintech movement, everyone was using the phrase of Uberization of banking. It wasn't a good an example. I'm going to make the Uber of financial services, and Uber is all about the mix of three technologies. Is geolocalization, right?
Hmm.
Uh, um, it's all about acceptance and a payment method. Okay, and all of that combined into a mobile phone, and that what they did was to incorporating emerging technologies into a process that you needed to make a phone call, wait for a taxi cab for 45 minutes, and then and get into that ride to your destination. But in addition to that, our role in the fintech space is to increase trust, as you find on Uber, for example.
Right.
So these new technologies were also bringing is trust. So I know that any instruction will be given in a secure way, and you will protect my data, and my instruction will fulfill my needs. That, for example, will be, I don't know, to buy a pair of shoes, or to pay for a bill, or to send money to mama, um, in my country of origin, or to buy for the raw material that I need in order to create my product. I don't know, in Spain or Peru or in Chile or Guatemala. I mean, so that's we are now living in a truly borderless economy, and that borderless economy means that we can access new market segments, and the technology is there. The technology is just there. It's just the new processes that need to be built, and a new infrastructure that needs to be solidified, and be built in a way that could be scalable and available.
I love that take because it makes me think about how, I think sometimes in the fintech space, we think we can kind of just maybe put fires out with like new solutions instead of actually like changing the process. And I feel like that's what, Nova Payment, banking as a service, that's like the point, right? Is like to help actually change the process because the process is what's not working here. And
That
so, yeah, and that's why embedded, right? It's like kind of funny. That's why embedded finance is like a $3.6 trillion market or something crazy, because literally everyone's like, oh yeah, wait a minute, we can like, we don't have to do it this hard way. We can do it this better way. But it takes people like yourself, right? To like, as we said before, right? And earlier is to hit the ground running and tell people this. And I mean, it 2014 or so, right? It doesn't feel like it's that long ago, but I guess it is. But how much has just changed in that conversation since? It's
Yes,
crazy.
and the fintech, it's you can get into fintech with a perspective of, okay, this is going to be just one K marathon or 10K marathon, so you can choose. Okay,
Hmm.
uh, but with infrastructure, it's all about connecting the dots. Okay, and in the past, you used to have traditional technology providers that was just focusing one particular component of the value chain. And that's why banks are sit in silos infrastructure. That's why sometimes when you pay your credit card, you cannot check and that your balance has been updated because there's a lot of batch processes. There's a lot of analog technology in the back. So when we started to build Novo Payment, we knew from the beginning that we needed to streamline those processes. But it takes time. And then not only just to build the bridges, it's also to build the foundation, not only in country, but also cross country in order to build what we call a tech fabric and being able to manage data and in compliance and with business continuity and ensuring our tenants. Our tenants are our clients. Our clients are financial institutions, merchants, fintechs, quarters that are evolving their products and services, and they're using our technology to be able to get into those products and services. So it takes time. So it's not just a beautiful app. That's important, extremely important. But that beautiful app that is very human centric or bring the nice experience needs to really process data, distribute data, and being able to really generate the right impact to all stakeholders, the consumer,
Yes.
and your investors, the regulators, your partners. And many fintechs needs partners, and partners will partner with the right fintech if the fintech is conducting their business in the right way.
Oh man, you're so speaking my language. I've been preaching about like data connectivity and the importance of that because it is all about, on top of that, it's all about that personalization, that customization that at the end of the day, like the end user wants. And so and all of this that you're talking about trickles down. Everything that we do, industry inside, will always be eventually or some capacity felt by the end user, whether it's a consumer, whether it's your client, whatever it is. And so to be able to actually have, these structures in place, like you're saying all these, very technical things, but it is crazy how all of it is meant to be more human. It's meant so that us as humans can interact. And I love that you mentioned that borderless world we're living in now, right? And we should be able to kind of exchange financial services in that seamless and connected way, and the dots should be connected, and it all does start with data. And that's hard. It's hard when systems were not built to do that. And so the fact that I just feel like it's very full circle with you, that like you came from Venezuela, you saw what was happening over there, you come to Miami, you create something that's like able to connect the world, and you're patient, like you're patient enough to say, you know what, I'm gonna do this. I've always wanted to be the disruptor, and I'm gonna do it. And that's an awesome thing. I mean, was there anyone in particular who maybe helped you feel like you belonged in the industry, or anyone that kind of, you think is positively shaping the future of our industry?
Well, there's a lot of people shaping the industry. There's no one that I could say is the father of the industry, and that's really good
That
because
is
it's
good, actually.
the collaborative effort of all of us that will make the change. Okay, so you have some pioneers here in the United States, others in Europe, in Asia, in Latin America. Okay, but the ones that will persist the most are the ones that will be recognized in the future as the original GAN of this
Right?
industry,
Yeah.
GAN members of
Who's
the
gonna persevere through all the
yes,
craziness?
yes, because you can build a company, sell the company, scale the company. Those are moments. But the great thing is many of the entrepreneurs that have experienced those realities are now investing in other entrepreneurs, are becoming mentors. So
Mm-hmm.
it's there's a spiral effect, a network effect, I will also say, to make this happen. And that's why we're evolving very fast from traditional banking or traditional finance to embedded finance. And we're just at the surface of embedded finance, and we're now talking about decentralized finance.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, so but the great thing is that we're seeing the future, but we need to build the present. Okay,
Oh, I
because
love that.
the present will have an effect on tomorrow. All right,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you can lift rock, but sometimes you need more time to really build what is required to get to the next frontier.
True.
So there will be a group of us building the infrastructure, others that will build on top of the infrastructure. And there's a lot of people that will benefit from that, that at the end will be the consumers that will have more access to financial services and another type of product that will make their life better. And that's the end goal. Um, so I always say, who wants to build a new church needs to preach every day, and even preach even if you don't have someone in your church. You need to be
I,
very disciplined.
oh,
In our case, we have been always committed to the vision, and we always try to stay on course. Of course, we have people. We have learned during the process. But as we grow and as we learn, we become more enthusiastic. And not because we're crazy. Yes, we are. Okay. But it's because when you can see the impact through the lenses of your clients is amazing.
and it helps you keep going. I think we as humans feel that. You know, earlier you had mentioned that sense of community was the hardest maybe thing to penetrate when you first got to Miami, and you had, luckily you had a group that helped you kind of get the word out, brand awareness, I guess, and but having kind of the backing of the city that you're starting out in, being a huge foundation for support. Having people around you that have the same values and share those type of things. I mean, there's tons of kind of pieces of advice out there, but maybe what is your favorite piece of advice that you would give our listeners who have maybe feel like outsiders, and how they, can kind of find their own sense of belonging in our industry.
Well, I always recommend, and I have the fortune to have it naturally, to have what I call a personal board of advisor.
Mm.
People that can tell you how they see you, that support you, do criticisms of you, but in a constructive way. And then, if you're starting in a company, look for advisors as well that can help you to craft your strategy or to complement a knowledge or to bring you access to information that you don't have. But important always to be thankful to them, because people that dedicate time to you are people that believe in you. And if people believe in you, that's the people that you need to pay them back first.
Yeah.
And typically are a former boss, or a teacher, or a good friend from school, but of course your family, and be surrounded of people that can really help you to be a better person every day. I think that's a secret sauce for success, and that's a secret sauce that sometimes when you feel lonely, you can cry with them. You can be angry with them, and they can help you to transform that energy into something more positive, and so you can continue to fight. So um, I think if you give back to community all the time, the community will give back to you as a consequence.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. I believe in this as well. I never thought to call the people who support me my like personal board of advisors. I I love that. I want that. That I'm gonna like create an official like board member list for my Nicole Casperson advisory board. But it's that's exactly right, and you need people that you can be vulnerable with.
Yeah.
When you're creating, whether it's creating content, creating a fintech, a company, you can feel isolated. It's very easy to feel like you're in this, silo of just like working so hard and all the things. So you need to have these outlets to make sure that you're staying sane, because we're all a little crazy, right?
Yeah, and I also recommend to put your ideas in writing. I mean, don't get worried if others can copy your ideas. I mean, it's all about execution at the end. So one of the things that I did in most part of my experience as an entrepreneur is writing, and I have the fortune to have a friend that helped me to do the editing, okay, so that I can express my idea better. So about the future of financial services, or I remember I started to write about embedded finance 7 years ago.
Wow.
7 years ago, you can find articles, but I'm so happy that now it's more, those ideas are better structured, and there's a lot of people building on an idea that came from all over, not just my ideas. Okay. So as long as you stay on course, those ideas could be executed, and of course you always need to check if those ideas has a product, has a market. You validate product market fit, that you have the resources to expand on those ideas, that you have the right company, I mean the right team to help you to build whatever is needed. Check if your customer can become your first promoters. Okay. Not because you're giving incentive, not just for giving incentive, it's because they really receive a benefit from your value proposition. Always check if the products and services can be expanded from your city, from your state, from your country, and what it takes to do that. Okay, to ensure that you don't have half-baked solution. Okay, that and if it's half-baked, ensure that you have all the ingredients and you put everything in the oven so you cannot poison anyone. Okay.
Annabelle Perez, the future godmother of embedded finance, maybe? Think we might see that happen down the road.
I'm not sure if you're going to be the godmother, but I will be one of the builders.
Yeah. Like one of the like one of the like top titas or tias, like at the very least, right?
Yeah, I mean, I always said I'm just a general contractor.
Oh my gosh!
Because to
I
do that, you need to be surrounded of the great team and great
yes.
partners and great clients.
Yes. No, these are wildly insightful pieces of information from you. If there is, and maybe one of my last questions for you is, if we need to be the change that we want to see, what change do you want to see in fintech, and how do we embody it? Or how will you embody it, I guess?
We need more collaboration. We need to build more trust between the stakeholders of this industry. We need to be more transparent. We need to really embrace what it takes to really build an industry, and we need all of those ingredients. I remember when I moved to the States, that used to have I don't know, maybe you heard about them, but it was an organization called Pay Before. Then that organization evolved to something that is called today Money 2020. And then I mean, there's a lot of people behind this movement from very, very long time. Okay? And we are benefiting from their efforts. Some of those still are in business. Others sold their companies. Others entered into corporate America. Others couldn't make it. But this is just the beginning. I mean, and I think the beauty of this wave is that as much people get enthusiastic, others will be able to build on top of what others started. And I think that's extremely important, not only here in the state, but also now that we are more in contact with other fintechs entrepreneurs in Europe, in Southeast Asia, in Latam. Many of them moving to the States because we all want to de-risk our efforts, because we wanted to be able to be supported by great funds, but also I wanted to impact our communities. Mm-hmm. So you need to get your balance, but I think it's a great momentum to be in fintech. There's a sense of market reckoning today, but I think every business has its cycle. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we are there yet, and we cannot be there, or we can prevent to be there if we do a good job. Okay, and we execute.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Anibal Perez, thank you so much for everything that you're doing for the fintech space, everything you're doing just for the culture of creating this like borderless world where everyone is more connected, everyone is more human, and we understand each other a little bit better every single day. You're hitting the ground running, and I'm so excited. NovoPayment is taking off, and I cannot wait to see all of the amazing work you do. And I'm saying future godmother. I mean, maybe, future godmother of embedded finance. She's on the trail, and this is just getting started. So thank you so much again for joining the show today.
Thank you for the opportunity. I enjoyed this conversation, and I'll tell you the embedded finance and the evolution of that. We have several godmothers and several.
Yes, I love it. I love your take on that. Right, more collaboration, more leaders in the space, and yes, okay. Let's hear to the crew of godmothers that help embedded finance continue to take off. So thank you again so much.
Looking forward to having you here in Miami soon.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I will. I'm staying at your headquarters. That's right.
No, you can use this room to be
to do my podcasting.
Yes, and you will find amazing, incredible entrepreneurs from around the world.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
In all sector.
All right. Hear that? What the FinTech Miami is happening. So it's happening. I've got the blessing from Anibal herself. So
okay.
Thank you again so much. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. To hear our next story about another diverse leader, be sure to tune in next week. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our show and give it a 5-star rating, as it helps our message reach more people who want to find belonging too.